What's a psych trick you love to use? Listening to someone without giving advice or pushing for more information typically nets me more information than being pushy for it. If a customer is angry, I just agree WTH then until they calm down. I'm really angry that delivery times are more than a week. Oh. That's a long time. I would be angry too. Under-promising and over-delivering at work. I also work at a mental hospital and it works with the people I work with. Sometimes staying silent in a negotiation works in your favor. Silence often feels uncomfortable, so the other party will offer up something by filling the quiet space with words. I used it once to negotiate something with my boss. I stated my case. He hummed and ummed for a bit to himself. I remained silent and he relented. Had I filled that silence with more words, it could have given him time to think of a way to say no. Whenever someone is showing you around or demonstrating something to you, open your mouth ever so slightly. Doesn't have to be much. Barely a centimeter is enough. It makes you look intrigued and fascinated by whatever it is you're being shown. Bill Clinton is an absolute master at this. I always smile when I see get approached by anyone, so they immediately think I'm happy to see them. Makes me a lot of friends and helps conversations start better too. I like to do nice things for people, so they do nice things for me. There was a girl at work I had a crush on. So every time we talked I would give her some of her favorite candies. Did it for weeks. Until she would seek me out and make excuses to come see me before leaving for the day. Asking someone to do me some small trivial favor before asking them for a major favor. If a customer is angry, just let them talk until they finish. Don't interrupt, but do occasionally say things like okay and I understand, so they know you are listening. Make notes. And then once they're finished, summarize what they said. Most angry customers just want an affirmation that you actually paid attention to the reasons they were pissed off. Once they get that off their chest, they're much more willing to work with you to resolve whatever issue they're having. If we have a follow-up call, I'll usually ask again about the things they were upset about on the previous call, and they're usually pleasantly surprised to know I actually remembered. I tell my toddler that I really want to eat her dinner myself. I really like asking people the time right after they have checked it. Most of them will check again. When asking a stranger for help, just cut right to the chase with your question request. Then exchange some pleasantries after. What people tend to do usually is hi. How are you doing? I'm so and so. Hey, can I ask you for? It makes the introduction seem less genuine. Like it was only to ease your way into something you need. Switching the order makes you come across more honest. And then shows you're actually interested in getting to know them or talking to them past whatever favor they're doing for you. I statements rather than you statements. People generally feel on the offensive when you put something on them. Especially when there's an issue. For example, you did this wrong. Can you try it again a different way? Putting the blame on them makes them feel like you're accusing them. Consider I'm not sure if this is right. Can we try this again a different way? Lacks the assumed accusation and shows that you're in it together. Not just criticizing them and then leaving. I try to implement it even when it's not a problem statement. Instead of let me know if you need help with anything else, I usually say let me know if there's anything else I can do to help. Symbolically takes the burden off of me saving this post and studying the hell out of it. For my retail customer service workers, if you encounter a grumpy, rude customer at work, clarify that you appreciate their patience and understanding. Even if they aren't being patient and understanding. Karens, male or female, are sort of like children. Instill a specific headspace without their knowledge, and soon enough, they'll actually start exhibiting that behavior. It's kind of like implanting false memories. They think to themselves, you're right. I am super patient and understanding, even though that might not have been the case. Defenselessness. Allow the 7 spiritual laws of success. Basically, don't try to defend your position when someone criticizes, gets mad, disagrees with you. Just shrug your shoulders and go on with your life. I refer to whoever I'm with by wacky nicknames that get progressively wackier over time. Whenever I can, I give people choices rather than tell them what to do. People feel more in control, when really I'll be fine either way. Some examples: would you rather wash the car or clean the bathroom? Or you can give your presentation now. Or after lunch. You can continue talking to them out of anger and keep getting the same result. Or you can use this skill we worked on and have better communication. Edited, spelling. A little trick I learned from the mental game side of tennis. If you ever are in a competition, sport or other, that requires a lot of skill and your opponent is beating the hell out of you, ask them, "Man, you are playing great today, come on, tell me. How are you doing that?" If your opponent is playing great, they're probably in the zone, meaning muscle memory is taking over and they are not thinking about their performance at all. At that time, it's automatic. Asking them, "How are you doing that?" forces them out of the zone by having them actively think about what they are doing and in the process screwing up their great performance. Works like a charm. When I'm having a deep, intense conversation with someone, and they're divulging things to me, I make sure my face doesn't react and just listen. I ask questions based on the information, many of them leading questions, and let them come to their own conclusions as to what to do about the situation. I also refrain from providing judgment about someone that person is talking about, at least until the story is over. My friends tell me I'm a great listener, and that makes me happy that they feel they can come to me and not be judged, schooled, scolded, etc. When playing rock, paper, scissors, I ask the person, "What color is your shirt?" After they give you an answer, they'll most likely play scissors. Ask people for things they want to do, don't mind doing as if they're favors to you. As if you'll owe them after this. I think it has to do with, full stop. 1. People like feeling useful. People like feeling like they've helped people, not necessarily because they're nice, but because ability to help implies some sort of power, full stop. 2. You give them opportunity to be nice. They'll feel more comfortable to converse with you because they did something for you. Like you're technically indebted to them. Like if you're very shy, you might feel like you don't deserve interaction or attention from the person. Complex. When you've done them a favor, you're kinda equal. It's a nice trick to get people to like you. I've noticed that people will let me do kind things for them if they think I'm doing it for selfish reasons. No. Let me cook for you. I need to practice making this dish. Walking towards someone. Look where you want to go and they'll move away. But more likely they will move to their right. I tell people that I fancy, that I like them directly. They get quite confused and I don't waste time with figuring the answer by myself. Just don't be nervous. They are people as well. When someone says something I don't agree with too, I repeat the last 2 or 3 words that they said back to them with a slight upward inflection and then look at them in silence until they backpedal. Paying close attention to the order of words allows you to get a difficult message across more constructively, summarized as nothing before the but matters. I don't know the psychology behind it. Something about not trying to get the last word. For example, which apology would you rather receive? "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have lost my temper with you. But you did irritate me. You did irritate me. But I shouldn't have lost my temper with you and I'm sorry." Randomly place pineapples or depictions of pineapples for people to find. I'm embarrassed to admit that I used to do this. But here it goes. Insert an embarrassing story. When you tell a lie, people will have the tendency to believe your lie more. See what I did there? Nodding your head while speaking, slightly. Don't overdo it, will get people to subconsciously agree with what you're saying. Or at least think of you as a friendly, agreeable person. So this is more for parents or people in some position of authority. The best way to get someone to do what you think they should is give them options. So they have X problem. List a bunch of dumber solutions and the one you think is best. End it with "I personally like this one and would do it." But it's your choice. 99% of the time they go with the one you wanted but are convinced they made the decision themselves. Not sure if it has a formal name. I don't know if it's a trick. But I know that when you're talking to someone but don't want to keep talking, randomly look at the middle of their forehead. As if they have something. That will unconsciously make him feel uncomfortable and it may end the conversation. Or you can do it yourself and it will not seem rude. I use it all the time with people with whom I am not necessarily excited about their existence. I like to engage people in deep and meaningful conversation. Mid-conversation. Without breaking flow, I'll hand them a totally random object and usually they'll accept. I have no idea what this phenomenon is called. But I've given people pens, pencils, staplers, stress balls, lip balm, envelopes and an assortment of fruit, all whilst having a complete conversation. It's only when I stop talking that they go, "Hey, why did you give me an orange?" I was told to stop doing this during the pandemic though. Sad times. Looking people in the eye and handing them shit. I almost got fired because I was talking to my boss about a Karen and how to approach her and I just handed him a fucking garbage bag I was holding and walked away. It took him a solid minute to realize what happened and I was already gone. The only reason I didn't get fired is because he had no idea who handed it to him. He said if he found out they were done. This was a month ago and I just got a raise and employee of the month. NGLI was a little too ballsy that day. Edit, if you do it right they won't even notice that you handed them anything. You just have to maintain eye contact. Hand them whatever is in your hand. Keep a straight face and walk off like it never happened. If you're talking to somebody, mimic their facial reactions to the conversation. Smile when they do. Crease your brow when they do. Etc. You have to work to make it seem natural and not like you're purposefully imitating them. But if you pull it off they'll walk away thinking better of you than otherwise. Extreme neutrality. Non-committance. And poker-facedness when someone is clearly looking for excuses to be upset, offended, angry, etc. When you're annoyed with someone, just agree. Doesn't matter what they're saying. Just agree. They run out of steam quick when you don't fuel the fire. You are right. I don't know what it's like. So tell me more to help me understand. The Andorra effect. Basically treating a person like they already behave like you would like them to. For example, being excited when you give someone a task because you totally believe they will do their very best makes them do their very best. It's awesome. Try it with bullies. It's magic. Treat them like they are nice PPL and they will be. Paris Hilton taught me that if someone asks you to do something and you don't want to do it, do a bad job first time and you won't get asked to do it again. I've used that trick the past 10 years and works every time. Offering someone a handshake only to pull your hand away at the last second. For when you're stuck in a conversation you want to get out of and the other person just won't shut the hell up. Instead of making eye contact with them, direct your eyes to look at the middle of their forehead and then blink a lot less. The tiny shift of where you're looking isn't overly noticeable. It'll still seem like you're making eye contact, but it will make the other person uncomfortable and they'll stop talking. You really don't have to add much to be part of a conversation. Just occasionally repeating part of the other person's sentences as a question can be more than enough to continue their momentum. I learned it in a negotiation masterclass. Told people to fake laugh for a photo. Then wait for the real laugh because they feel silly fake laughing. Edit tell. Works on short people too. Creating value through absence. There are days when I just don't give any advice. And keep my mouth shut and speak when spoken to. That often leads people into thinking I provide valuable info whenever I open my mouth. Other days, they just come to me for problem solving because they suddenly remember I can help them out too. That means I'm the person who they can always rely on. And I create my value. I ask if you had to pick a number from 1 to 10. It would be an. And wait for them to answer. They say 8 95% of the time because N triggers them to look for vowel sounds and 8 is the only option. Then I hand them my business card with you picked 8 printed on it. Ask someone for a small favor and they might like you more. If you're always locked in the endless cycle of figuring out what's for dinner with your significant other, instead of asking them what they want, ask them to guess what we're having. Whatever the answer is, tell them they were right and have that. Positive reinforcement. Once you start telling people that you like something about them, obviously in a respectful and honest way, you can't stop. I don't go full obnoxious with it, but at least it helps establish that if you want to have a negative conversation about shit you hate, you're not the best crowd for it. Telling kids not to laugh to get them to laugh. Replace have to with get to in a sentence. Not, I have to go to the store, but, I get to go to the store. Puts a positive outlook on different things. Thanks you twirl my dress around. I like to write positive affirmations on my bathroom mirror. It gets into my subconscious and really helps with my mental state during times of depression. I found this trick when I was in high school. I wrote fuck the world on my rearview mirror one time when I was pissed. In 2 weeks my road rage was at an epic level. Decided to try and reprogram myself. Worked well, so I kept it up to it. Switched to bathroom mirror. Edit. Thanks for the silver. Much appreciated. Haven't done it in years. But I started to make the shuffling sound of papers and books being put away while there was still time left in a high school class. The rest of the class would end up tuning out of the teacher and start to put stuff away. Teacher would lose the class. And then there'd be a few minutes of just BS time left before the period ended. Always pretend to be really happy to see someone and they'll always be happy to see you. If you forget someone's name, say what's your name again. They'll look insulted and say their name. Then you say, no, I meant your last name. Awkward. But not as awkward as calling someone hey, man forever. Removed. Bad news inoculations. If something bad happens, say something worse happened first. Then immediately correct after a few seconds. It takes the edge off. Say someone's name in that first conversation when you meet them. People really like hearing their name. So it leaves a good impression. And it helps you remember their name. If you don't say a thing after a person says something, they will keep going. Sparkles. 1. Get someone to say no before you ask them for a favor. 2. If you want someone to stop talking, you can accidentally drop something. Pick it up and interrupt them. 3. If you want to leave an awkward conversation, tell the person something such as I wouldn't want to use up any more of your time. Yawning is contagious. I use it to catch people who had been looking over at me. What's a sight trick you love to use? In the middle of talking to someone intently, hand them something. More often than not they will take it instinctively. Then walk away after the discussion before they've realized. If you need a favor from someone, first ask something that's a lot more, and too much, effort. And then ask the thing you actually want. This will make the thing you ask seem like less effort and more chances of them accepting. Example, you want your mom to drive you to the train station. Mom, can you drive me to faraway city? No. Can you maybe then just drop me off at the train station? Yes. Saying rock and rock paper scissors louder than the rest so that they'll throw rock and I'll throw paper and win. A few times I've managed to hide things in plain sight from people. One example was when I had the leaving card of a woman at work on my desk and she'd wheeled over to talk to me. Rather than obviously panic, I held her gaze as I was talking to her. Picked up the card and put it in my desk drawer. As if I was just picking up some shit to put away. I literally held it in front of her and she didn't notice. I always like the one where if you want something from someone and they're holding it, put out your hand and they'll pass it to you. Good examples of this are getting car keys from a parent, so getting a flashlight from someone who's keen on doing the work themselves so you can help learn. Getting gum candy from someone. When my kids want to split something like a cupcake or cookie, I like to use I cut, you pick. One kid gets to divide it. The other gets to pick which half they get. Both kids come away believing it was a fair split and no one got the good half. Subtly hinting about things I'd like people to do until they come up with the idea by themselves. Works like a charm. I request things in writing. You want me to do what? Yeah, let me get that written down in an email for scoping purposes and to loop in my managers. Once I see your email, I'll be in touch with any questions, challenges, and then I'll get started. The email never comes. If someone is talking about a subject that I am already well informed about, to come off as more humble and let the other person have enjoyment of expressing their knowledge, I will express what I know in the form of a question. If someone tries to talk to me, I'll look around and back and with a straight face say, "Wait, you can see me?" Funniest shit ever. Compliment people behind their backs. Don't do it in a manipulative way. Genuinely compliment people and somehow it gets back around to them and it leads to them liking you. You can tell if someone has been staring at you by quickly raising and lowering your eyebrows. People watching you tend to copy you subconsciously. I have no idea why, but this is something I discovered by accident. Playing any sport against anyone. Casually ask at some point, "What's that thing you do with your elbow?" They always say, "What thing?" "Oh, never mind," and just keep playing. They'll be thinking about it and the rest of the game. Sometimes when my dog won't eat his food, I turn on the stove and act like I'm cooking it. I will grab random condiments from the fridge and fake pour it in. Nothing changes, but now he wants it. Spoiled ass dog. When people want me to do them a favor that includes a lot of work, I ask them to do a small part to get it started. They always just give up and leave me alone. After I got a 3D printer, the number of people who wanted me to magic up all sorts of complicated shit, including full airsoft guns body kits, was crazy. I just asked people to provide the STL files and I'd print it. Never heard from any of them again. I've heard it both ways. Anytime I call customer service, I listen for the person's name and use it immediately. "Hey, such and such, my name is X. I was calling to ask about such and such." Using people's names and then giving them yours makes them feel like an equal, not a servant. Once you politely ask about something, even if it's a huge unexpected bill, just ask to see what's going on. It puts that other person at ease. You've just addressed this person with respect and let them know you aren't going to be a high-stress customer. This doesn't get you what you want, but it does make for a more pleasant interaction and that other person might have more options for you. Being unfazed by everything really ruins other people as they can't comprehend that they have zero power over you. If you feel like someone doesn't like you, ask them for advice on something about which they're more knowledgeable than you. This gets them into the mindset that they're on your side and they'll tend to view you more sympathetically. I talk to strangers like they're a friend I haven't seen in a while. It's mostly a tonality thing and gets instant rapport. Especially with people that aren't used to it in their environment, store cashiers, waitresses, etc. When people lie, they make very slight subtle movements. When you learn how to read those movements, literally no one can lie to you. I learned it 3 years ago from a friend's dad who learned how to use it to interrogate enemies. He was a Navy SEAL. Till this day, I call people on their bullshit. %99 of time I'm right. Sweetest sound anyone can hear is their name from another person. Dale Carnegie. It was true in 1934 when he wrote the famous, still in print book How to Win Friends and Influence People. And is just as true today. Go to the shop, ask their name, and next time they're there, use that name and you'll notice how differently you're treated. Or you go into a shop and they remember your name, even though you've not been frequent visitor, or been back for ages. Note how good that makes you feel. It's a simple thing but very powerful. BTW, everyone should read that book.